Welcome back to Breakfast. If your pay packet seems a little slimmer this week, there's a reason for it. The minimum contribution rate to Kiwisaver for both workers and employers has just gone up from 2% to 3%. For more on what you need to know to make sure your retirement nest egg is growing as it should be, personal finance commentator Amanda Morrall is with us now. Morning to you, Amanda.
Good morning, Nadine.
So what exactly do you have to do to make sure that your Kiwisaver contribution goes up as it should do?
If you're a salaried employee, you won't have to do a darn thing. Your employer will look after it for you, and it will readjust on the next pay period. So I think for the vast majority of people, it will be a fairly seamless process. I think for people who are on sort of a median wage or higher, it's going to be a little bit of pain. For somebody, for example, on $42,000 a year, we're talking an extra $8 a week. So, you know, that's 2 lattes, for example, that you cut back on. You'll readjust. I think the hardest adjustment will be for people low wage income earners for whom, you know, $8 a week maybe is a fair bit of money and might mean the difference between, you know, a steak or noodles, fast noodles for dinner, you know.
I mean, it is a small increase, but over the lifetime of the scheme, this could make a reasonable amount of difference.
It will, and keep in mind, I think you mentioned it at the start, that in Australia, rather, they're paying 9% of contributions, and that's going up to 12 over time. So we still have a long way to go to catch up with what other countries are contributing or recommending for contributions. The Financial Services Council recently recommended that at the start of your journey into employment that you should actually be contributing 10% of gross earnings to establish sufficient savings for your retirement fund because of the threat of the pensions not being what they are today, you know, for when we retire, for example.
Which sounds ideal, but for some people, even going from 2% to 3% is going to be a bit of a struggle. If you're one of those people in that situation, what can you do?
I say, see this as an opportunity rather than panic and fret. Use it as an opportunity to look at your whole finances, maybe make some nuances and adjustments, see where you're at, see how much money you have in your fund. Get familiar with Kiwisaver. Some people don't have a hot clue the difference between a conservative, a balanced, and a growth fund, how much they're paying in fees. It's all quite intimidating for the first timer, but you strip it down to basics, take bite-sized pieces, and slowly you'll build up your knowledge base. So I get good opportunity to do that.
But if, say, you're in the position where you're also a student loan borrower and those repayment levels have gone up, it's just too much, you do have options, don't you?
There are options to take contributions, holiday and whatnot. You know, everybody's situation is going to differ, so I can't really give any blanket advice. But again, it's a good opportunity just to reassess, see where you're at, see what your balance is at, and to figure out what your, you know, your risk assessment profile is, for example. And if you're a first-time homeowner and you're in a growth fund, for example, and you're planning on pulling out your funds in a few more years, you probably should be in a conservative fund too, right? So lots of variables that
So a bit like when we say put our clocks forward for daylight saving, take the opportunity to have a check and make sure you're in the right place.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Amanda Morrall.
You're welcome.
Personal finance commentator.